probably be safe without making more of a plan, but why leave that to chance? Hello my lovely friends, it's Margaret. Welcome back to the channel. Today I am here to tell you what my focus is going to be for the mid-year reading scramble, and also what I'm planning on reading, because y'all know how it works. If I don't make a TBR, I don't read. I probably would be fine because I have the graphics that I made to guide me and help me think about those things, but I wanted to sit down and take a look at what my options were. So we're here with my options. Some of you may be going, Margaret, what graphics? I may have gotten a little ahead of myself there. Hold on, let's take it back. The graphics in question are the graphics for my readathon, the mid-year reading scramble. It is running throughout the entirety of July. The basic premise of the mid-year reading scramble is just to pick a reading goal and get caught up on it. That's what we're doing this year. You actually get to come up with your own goal if you would prefer. Historically, we've had Goodreads goal, physical TBR, and currently reading. My currently reading is currently out of control, so we're going to be focusing on that one at the beginning. If I, by some miracle, read all 7 of the books that I have picked out from this goal, I will then be going to my usual goal, which is to read books for my physical TBR. With that said, I'm going to put the decision tree right up over here, and we're going to walk through what I am doing for this part of it, and then I'll walk you through filling out the rest of the bingo board. The first prompt is to read the shortest book on your TBR, and for me that is Imakoya Volume 5. I started this during Face Off and did not, I was burned out by Sunday, so I think I only got a few pages in. I did not get very far in. So this is going to be the first thing that I read, starting off with something quick, short, a win right from the beginning. From there, I am going to be going to newest purchase, and in that case, the book that I have is The Whispering Dark by Kelly Andrews, because I thought it was only going to have 2 points of view, and then it ended up having a random third point of view 3 chapters in, and I was like, I guess I can't use it now. This is about Delaney, and she is going to a school for magic and where you learn occult things. She is having a little bit of trouble at school and keeping up with the coursework, not just because this is stuff that she had no idea existed until she got the scholarship for this place, but also she is deaf, and a lot of her teachers have not read their emails talking about that, so they don't know about the various accommodations that she needs to be able to keep up with things in class. There is also a boy named Colton who they have some history together, she brought him back from the dead, I think? Something like that. We haven't quite gotten into that, but he found out that she is struggling, and so he's like, well, I'll help you. I understand, nobody is paying attention to this, and she doesn't want to bring it up, she just wants to power through it, and he's like, okay, well, I'll help you with that. After that, I am picking most intimidating read, and for that one, I am going to be reading Assassin's Quest by Robin Hobb. I think I started this book 2 years ago, and then I had a bad experience with the final book in Live Ship Traders, and so I haven't wanted to go back to it, despite the fact that so far, the Farseer books have been my favorite of Hobb's work that I have read. The problem with it is there is one specific plot line that we keep flashing back to, and I hate it so much. And so I'll be like, yeah, this is good. I'm having a good time. This is I remember why I like this series. And then we go to that thing, and I'm like, Jiminy Christmas. I know how, I can see how this is going to end, what's going to happen here, and I don't like it. I don't like it. I'm worried about whether or not I will like this book, but I like Fitz as a character, and I feel like the premise of the series seems like she's going to, from what I'm reading, it seems like she's going to uphold the initial premise that she sold me at the beginning. So as long as she does that, I think I'll be fine with it, and I'll be able to move on to the rest of her books. Once we have finished that book, I am going to be doing a friends pick, and I'm going to be reading another amazing readathon cast-off, I guess, or a reject, or whatever it was. It's a book I started for sightseeing, and I just didn't finish it, and that is The 7-Year Slip by Ashley Poston. I started this for sightseeing, and then promptly realized I was running out of time to sightsee, so I put it down to read something much shorter. We are following a main character that she has inherited her aunt's apartment, and her aunt has told her it's magical, but she doesn't really believe that until she gets sent back 7 years in the past to one weekend where she meets this guy. They really bond that weekend. There's a little bit of sparks flying, that kind of stuff, and then she goes to work the next morning, and when she comes back, she is back in the present. Her apartment is no longer 7 years in the past, and she doesn't know his last name. There's no way for her to get in touch with him. So this is kind of following that as they come back into each other's lives. And I was having such a good time with that. It's gonna be so good for me. I'm gonna enjoy this. If I finish that one, I'm also going to pick up Sisters of the Never Sea to check off favorite genre. This is a Peter Pan retelling with a blended family. These two girls' parents got married, they've grown up together, they're really, really close, and then they also share a younger brother who kind of ends up being the reason for why things happen. It's a very interesting take on the Peter Pan story because Cynthia Lettich Smith is Indigenous, and so our main character is also Indigenous, and we're navigating that through that lens. From what I remember, it was super fun, super cute. I may have to start this one from the beginning because it's been a while. So, but I was enjoying this, and it's a middle grade, so it should be a really quick read. If I finish that one, we are going to backtrack, and I am going to read Forged by Magic by Jenna Wolfhard. I started this in May for the, like, 5 seconds that I tried to do Kindle Mayhem, and then I just didn't read anything else in May. I am about 35% in. We are following a half-orc and an elf, and she has been shipwrecked on his island, and he doesn't like her because she's working for an emperor, but she's not working for the emperor out of her own, like she doesn't want to work for the emperor, she just doesn't have a choice, because if she doesn't work for him, he has a way to kill her. They're having to work together during this festival where there's a competition, a whole bunch of stuff. Basically, it's like enemy, like, I don't know, I don't think it's enemies entirely, it's like mild, like it's extreme dislike to lovers is what's going to be happening. I was enjoying this at the beginning, and then I just didn't read. So that's what happened there. And then the last book on my currently reading that I'm going to try and get to is The Atlas Paradox by Olivia Blake. I absolutely loved The Atlas 6. If you don't know what The Atlas 6 is about, it is about 6 college grads. Basically, the Library of Alexandria didn't actually burn down. That was just like, they just hid it. And then there's like the secret society that deals with all of the stuff in the library, and there's magic, and there's all of this stuff. And it was a very much a vibes, dark academia book. And so I really enjoyed like all of the different points of, most of the different points of view. Callum can die. I could really enjoy this book. Like, I had a great time with the first one, so I want to see how I'm going to feel about this one and then finish the series with the Atlas Complex, I think is the last book. I'm not entirely sure. As previously mentioned, if I finish those 7 books, I'm also going to work on getting some books off of my physical TBR. 7 of these prompts will have already been checked off again because I wanted to switch graphics because that just helped my brain think of them like separately, and then I will be filling out the rest of the bingo board or trying to get a bingo by reading books from my physical TBR. We're just going to go through the bingo board in order from what we have left. And the first one is to read a book that you bought indie or used. I bought Beach Read by Emily Henry from my local thrift store. I read the first chapter of this for my try a chapter video that I did with all of the romance books on my physical TBR, and I really enjoyed that first chapter, and I'm interested in like what's going to happen next. What I remember from that is that we have our main character, and she has moved into this like beach house because she's not doing so well. She doesn't have it, like she needs somewhere to stay. And it is her father's beach house where he kept his mistress. Like, that's where he and his mistress had their hookups and all of that stuff, and like where she lived. And awkward. And I know there's going to be some stuff with her neighbor. They are both writers from what I remember, and like she's having a little bit of writer's block or something like that. I don't know. I already know everything I need to know to want to read it, so we're good to go. That's all I needed. After that, I need to read a 5-star prediction, and I am going with Vespertine by Margaret Rogerson. I absolutely adored Sorcery of Thorns, which was her last book before this one. And then I also, like, because I like that so much, I ended up reading An Enchantment of Ravens. And so I know I like her work. So I think there's a chance that I will really enjoy this. There are dead people involved. Like, she's a nun that is supposed to keep the bodies of the deceased from rising again. That's what she is. That's what she's doing. That just sounds like a good time to me. Like, one of my favorite books from when I was a teenager is it Sabriel? I think it's Sabriel by Garth Nix. I think that's the first book. Because it's Sabriel, Lyriel, Abhorsen. Yeah? Correct me if I'm wrong, but like that's one of my favorite series from my teen years. I enjoy that kind of plot. I know I do. So I'm very excited to see like what Margaret Rogerson's writing with a plot I know I enjoy seems like. After that, we have lowest rated book on my TBR. For that, I'm going to be doing Oasis by Katia de Pissarra. I have put this on so many TBRs at this point. I think if I don't read it this time, it might be time to let it go. It sounded interesting when I got it from Book of the Month, like ages and ages and ages ago. Hold on, I can check. I think it was 2020. Yeah, it was January of 2020 that I got this book. I don't remember much about it except that we're in a desert, and I think it's like there's like a portal or something like that. They're excavating something. Yeah, Sandstorm wipes away their camp, and they end up in like with reality shifting around them as they are trying to like get food, water, all this stuff that they need to survive. After that, we have Well Met by Jen DeLuca. This was my second favorite from that video that I did with the try a chapter of all my romance books. I I loved it. I'm a Renfest girl. I haven't been to one in a while, but I just, like, some of my favorite memories are from my local Renaissance festival that comes every year. But this was giving me a lot of those Renfest feels, and I really liked, like, the meeting between our main character and the love interest, and the dynamic that was set up with our main character, and, like, the fact that she's watching her niece. Her sister was in a pretty serious car accident, which means that she can't really move around very well right now, so she's come back to take care of her sister and also help with, like, taking care of her niece, make sure she gets to school and all of these different things. And her niece wants to volunteer at the Renaissance Festival, and you need an adult to volunteer with her because she is under the age of 16. For longest book on my physical TBR. I make no promises. None. But the longest book on my TBR is Chain of Thorns by Cassandra Clare. I should get to this. I should stop. I chicken out every time I'm about to pick it up. I should stop doing that because I know, like, the thing I want to happen is going to happen. Everything's going to be fine. And yet, I'm still mildly scared because people who loved the first 2 books along with me did not like this book. And so I'm like, am I going to hate this? Is this going to be another Queen of Air and Darkness where it's like Cassandra didn't stick the landing? I don't know. Like, I can't. Like, this is shaping up to potentially be my favorite series in the Shadowhunters universe. And, like, that's not changed since I read The Infernal Devices. But it could also be the biggest disappointment in the Shadowhunters universe. So I'm just a little nervous. Because I've done vlogs of both the first book and the second book, and I should do a vlog of this one. Maybe I should just put this on my content calendar, and then I have to read it. You know, maybe that's what I do. And for the final bits at the bottom row, we have a 2024 release. For that, I'm going to be reading A Fate Inked in Blood by Danielle L. Jensen. I am so in love with the sprayed edges on this cover. Have no idea what it's about. It is some sort of Norse something. I can tell you that much from people who have read it. Oh, okay. Bound in an unwanted marriage, Freya spends her days gutting fish, but dreams of becoming a warrior and putting an axe in her boorish husband's back. I mean, that sounds like a good time. So basically, her terrible husband ends up, like, making it so she has to fight the Jarl's son, Bjorn, and I have a feeling we're going to have a little bit of a romance between them. She's also got, like, a drop of the goddess's blood, so she's, like, a legitimate shield maiden. So I'm here for it. This is giving me Éowyn vibes a little bit. For the highest rated book on my TBR, we have My Hero Academia Volume 5. Do I remember what happened in Volumes 1 through 4? Vaguely. I picked this up back when Jessie over at Jessie the Reader was, like, doing a read-along of My Hero Academia. I haven't continued on since that read-along stopped, but I mean, like, I was enjoying some of it. There were some characters that I was just like, oh my god, you can tell that the dude in charge of this story is a dude. Just there are some characters like that, but I was enjoying a lot of the things involved with other characters. So, and also, like, severely mad because one of these characters, like, he's not a great character, like, you don't really like him, but also, like, his dad is the worst. And you're kind of like, I can see why you are the way you are, my dude. Can't blame ya. I may have to get volumes 1 through 4 just to kind of refresh my memory, or, like, watch or read a summary of what happens in those, just so I don't know, we'll see. Sometimes I can jump into things and my memory will pick up, and sometimes I just go, I'm so confused, I don't know what's happening. And then the final prompt that I would need to fill to black out the bingo board is to read a book that I pre-ordered. I had 2 options in this case, but one of them is a chonky book, and I didn't want to go with that. So I went with The Tempest of Tea by Hafsa Fazel. If you don't know, I absolutely adored her Sands of Arawia series. I think that's the name of the series, but the first book is We Hunt the Flame. I really enjoyed her magic system and kind of like the initial setup that gets everybody moving and what's going on in the world and what they're having to overcome. And so I'm very interested to see what happens here with this, because I've read excerpts from it and it sounds like a Margaret book. I believe there are vampires involved. Are there vampires involved? Okay, so we have a criminal mastermind named Arthi. Her prestigious tea room transforms into an illegal bloodhouse by night, catering to the vampires feared by society. Yeah, there are vampires involved. Oh, it's a heist book. Okay. Okay. I like a good heist book. I got it. You guys know what's happening? I have to show you all of the books that I am going to be reading. Look at all of that. All of those books. It is less books than my last TBR was, because I picked 25 books, so I would have plenty of options. This is only 16 books. I may be learning moderation. So that is what I'm going to be attempting to read for the mid-year scramble. Again, attempting, because I'm only committing seriously to 4 books. That's why the TBR graphic only has 4 books on it. It seems like a reasonable amount to commit to. And then if I have time and room and brain space for more, there are more options for me. And now, if you're thinking, Margaret, what is the mid-year reading scramble? Well, I'll have the announcement video right over here. Also, it'll be in the description box along with the Discord. Thank you so much for watching. If you enjoyed this video, please give it a thumbs up. That is it for now, my friends. Happy reading, and I will see you later when we will talk about more wordy, nerdy things. Bye!